Hi, welcome to the Island Podcast with your host, Matthew Siklosen. I know that the last couple of episodes we had some audio difficulties, and hopefully I'll have those sorted out for this week's. Again, if you enjoy listening to this, please, subscribe, download on whatever podcast directory you're using. Don't forget to spread it through word of mouth to anyone who you think might enjoy this, and also consider going on over to the Patreon, where if you subscribe for $5 a month, you'll get an extra 20 minutes of me probably talking to myself. So that's going to be interesting, or at least it documents my descent into madness. This week, my guest is my new / old roommate, Jared Kelly. He's a graduate of computer science at Algoma University. And he's going to be the first non-historically minded person I've had on this podcast.
All of my history knowledge comes from you and several other friends just blabbering on about history stuff that makes no sense to me.
So yeah, that's that. Without much ado, we'll get into it. Okay, you know what I thought we could talk about this week is I've had Vietnam on my mind. And after we did the last Patreon promo, and I asked that, do you think the United States could have won the Vietnam War if they had fully committed to it? Question, and I know you kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah, because there's no way they could have won without glassing the entire North.
But that's kind of what they did, and they still lost.
They didn't. That
was the entirety of Operation Rolling Thunder, is that they dropped more bombs on Vietnam in that single military operation than they did in the entirety of World War II.
And yet there was still forest standing.
Yeah.
So clearly they didn't do a good enough job.
No. See, what I'm saying is that they should have followed that with a full-scale invasion. And I don't think that if they did do that, they would have won handily. I think it would have been an absolute massacre. I think they would have had heavy casualties. But they still might have had an Afghanistan sort of victory where they, they'd have to sit on the country, but they'd still, quote-unquote, won.
And then we'd have Vietnamese terrorists instead of ISIS.
No, we could probably have both. Why not
or
have
both? Who knows?
Why not have both?
But there'd definitely be Vietnamese terrorists, because that's what happens when you suppress a population and murder everyone.
It's not just suppressing the population, but it's not getting the population on their side, which is what the Americans also failed to do in Vietnam. Is that, that whole hearts and minds thing. They didn't, properly ingratiate themselves to their host nation.
It's almost like killing a large portion of the population is just their friends and families is not going to go over well.
No, that generally doesn't. But the other thing, too, is they didn't... they'd go in and they'd clear out the Viet Cong out of a village, let's say, but they didn't, stick around, and they didn't, help protect the village from the Viet Cong, and they didn't, properly supply and, hey, this is why, you should subscribe to our ideology, because, we'll give you shit, we'll make sure you're protected, secure, and have enough food, all that stuff.
The Viet Cong were moving into villages, and the U.S. wasn't protecting afterwards.
Right, yeah. So... that's what they failed in doing. Actually, as I was reading up, it was kind of interesting. So, when we think about the Vietnam War, you kind of think of the main participants as being the Viet Cong, the South Vietnamese Army, the ARVN, and the American forces. But there was also other nations involved too, like the Australians, New Zealand Kiwis, and the South Koreans.
I actually read a story on Reddit a few days ago in the military stories subreddit of someone who was in this one artillery battalion or something where they defended the Australians. Yeah. So in return, the Australians gave them a whole bunch of their fancy hats, the cowboy hats or whatever, with one side up, and they were the only division that was allowed to wear them.
Oh,
yeah,
cool. No, what I was reading on was that the Australians, prior to the Vietnam War, they had experience with there's an emergency incident in Malaysia with them rising up against the British in World War II. So they had experience of counterinsurgency, and then they realized that how the Americans were going about it was shit, and they tried, talking up to the Americans, going like, hey, like you're not, you're just pretty much going in, clearing out these villages, and then not sticking around to help and try and protect them. This isn't the way to do things, but because they were a foreign nation, and B, not in enough numbers to really kind of influence the Americans, they just kind of got ignored.
Well, that's the Americans not listening to people who know better.
Why would you say that? Did they ever do things like that?
Like always.
Uh-huh.
Americans go their own way.
Yes, almost exclusively. Even in the face of better judgment.
Even in the face of any other judgment, better or worse.
Oh, I don't know. The entire war was just a shit show from the beginning. Like that's one of the things why I kind of posited the question. Do you think they could have won if they fully submitted or committed to it? Was because the entire war they just sort of pussyfooted and didn't really. Kennedy was entirely against going into the war. It wasn't until after he was assassinated that Johnson stumbled into the Gulf of Tonkin incident, and that's up for debate on whether he went in there knowing what was going to happen and drag the states further and further into the war. And it was known by the end of the Johnson administration that there's no way they could win this. And all Nixon did was prolong the war.
Sure.
See, this is, sometimes when I talk history to people, I just see these blank stares on their face that they have no clue what I'm talking about or anything.
Yeah, that all went over my head because I don't know enough about the Vietnam War.
Where should I go back to? Gulf of Tonkin?
What?
Gulf of Tonkin incident?
The what?
The Gulf of Tonkin incident.
I don't know what that is.
Okay,
I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of it?
Not once.
Okay. So, after Kennedy was assassinated, Johnson becomes president, right? LBJ.
Yeah.
Big Texan.
Big dick.
Yeah. He's president. There's they have U.S. Navy ships off of this Gulf known as Tonkin in the South China Sea off the coast of Vietnam. It's kind of unclear as to what exactly happened, but essentially U.S. ships are in the Gulf. Vietnamese patrol ships possibly fired on it first. Then things kind of go quiet, but then North Vietnamese ships definitely fire on U.S. ships, and they get into a whole thing, and then that's kind of the catalyst for the U.S. doubling down and actually sending proper ground troops. Before it was mostly just military advisors and such, no large formations. Yeah, that's that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this. There's not really anything for me to say.
No.
Here.
Okay. What about the Kennedy assassination?
Well, I watched season 2 of The Umbrella Academy.
That's entirely a historically accurate source that you can draw things from, of course.
Yeah. That revolves around the Kennedy assassination.
Right.
In ways, anyway.
In ways. I mean, it's one of these things that gets taken and reused by popular culture a whole lot because, it's...
Very easy to conspiracy theorize.
Very easy, and you can take liberties with it too. That's why a lot of popular culture kind of revolves around that, and then they come up with their own theories, or as you see in the Umbrella Academy, they kind of inject their own story into it and how it revolves around it.
But yeah, no, I don't know much about it outside of representations in popular culture and the general knowledge everyone has. Just, oh yeah, Oswald killed him.
Yeah. See, I don't know,
the grassy knoll.
The whole grassy knoll and all that. I don't know. If I was to put my conspiracy theory hat on that, I would think that, elements within the U.S. government assassinated him so they could escalate the war in Vietnam as they did. I don't know.
I don't know, because I don't know about the geopolitical situations of the time.
No comment. Well, if we go back, Kennedy kind of wasn't a team player. And as we see politicians who tend not to be team players, it doesn't really ever work out for them. They either, get exiled to political Siberia, or, things like assassinations happen and all that. Kennedy going into his presidency was kind of an unknown quandary. He was only a senator before, hadn't really, wasn't really known on the international stage. Immediately into his presidency, you have the Bay of Pigs fiasco. So that's where the CIA had funded Cuban exiles to try and reinvade Cuba and overthrow Castro's regime. It failed horribly. And even though Kennedy had okayed it, it was only really kind of something cooked up under the Eisenhower administration, the previous administration. It was going to happen within months of Kennedy assuming office, and he just kind of signed the papers to okay it, didn't really look at it. And there's a lot of things that went wrong with the Bay of Pigs, between it being like publicized in papers, even though it was supposed to be a super top secret operation. There was supposed to be air support that Kennedy called off at the last minute. The original beach that they planned to land at would have been a proper beach, but where they actually landed in the Bay of Pigs was like a terrible swampy area that just not great for a naval invasion. And then there was just the fact that they were planning on there's going to be a popular uprising as soon as these exiles come back. But what they didn't realize is all the people who didn't like Castro were those exiles. That at the time, no one was really gonna rise up against the Castro regime.
They were pretty happy with how things were going already.
Yeah, well, you got to also think there's people still alive at that time who remember the Batista regime, and how bad things were under that. So, and then things are kind of moving in a better direction under Castro. So, anyone who didn't like Castro was most likely in exile already. So.
They didn't win the hearts and minds of the locals.
No.
Because they had already been won by someone else.
Yeah. Belonged to another lover.
Friendship with exiles ended. Castro is the new best friend.
Yeah. No, so that happened. Kennedy was, was kind of seen as a buffoon, and then that kind of leads into the Cuban Missile Crisis, where Khrushchev, Soviet premier, wanted to have a dick measuring contest, I guess you could say, with Kennedy. He wanted to try and show him who's boss by retaliating, actually, for what the Americans did. The Americans had put nuclear missiles in Italy and Turkey, and in retaliation to show that that they couldn't be pushed around, and to kind of test Kennedy's mettle, as they put nuclear missiles in Cuba. Things got heated, but it was kind of a tense few weeks, and eventually cooler heads prevailed, and they negotiated a deal where there would be a public withdrawal of the nuclear missiles from Cuba, but a secret withdrawal of the nuclear missiles from Turkey. And that's something that history textbooks and classes don't really talk about, is those Turkish missiles.
None of my history classes ever covered the Cuban Missile Crisis, so...
No? Never?
High school, grade 10
That's
history only does World War I.
Ouch.
And a bit of World War II.
That is sad.
That's it. That's all you need.
That is very sad.
And my grade 10 history teacher was so awful that I never wanted to take anything with him ever again. He was the only history teacher.
Yeah, and then you got stuck with me, Rory.
Well, I'm not going to take history in university.
No, but
that would involve writing.
I just mean all of us talking history at you all the time.
Yeah, well, that's different from learning in a class.
Yeah.
It's just history classes involve writing, and
yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah. We don't make you write papers; just talk on podcasts.
Yeah. Better than writing.
No, but you would. I don't know. I would think since the Cuban Missile Crisis was one of the few times we actually came to the brink of nuclear annihilation, they might want to slip that by you. Just. You might want to know about that. I don't know.
I mean, but if they're including, there's a whole bunch, I don't know, there's probably other stuff they can include that would just be oh yeah, this is probably important too, but it's just they cover it up to a certain point. It's just, they covered the Depression, World War One and kind of World War Two.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
A shame. So the Cuban Missile Crisis was more or less seen as kind of a victory for Kennedy, but he was still like, I don't know, kind of shaky, and especially with the not the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Bay of Pigs. He wasn't looking at the CIA as very favorable anymore, so he cut their funding. See, in the 1950s, the CIA had kind of operated with like a blank check. And then once Kennedy gets into power, the Bay of Pigs and other snafus, he kind of like tries to cut their funding and just ends up on bad terms with the Dulles brothers. So if you're gonna put on your tinfoil hat, realize that after Kennedy's assassination is when the war kicks into high gear, and there's a whole bunch of these military contracts, especially for munitions and arms, having to be put through, and people making money off of this. It's not too crazy to theorize he might have been assassinated in order to push this war into a higher bracket than it was. That's just me spitballing.
Not a history guy at all.
I know. That's
Stick to the computers.
Yeah, I know. What about the history of computers? What can you tell me about
I don't know.
computer stuff?
That's pretty broad and vague.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know too many specifics either.
Okay.
Like there's the Enigma machines in World War II, which were one of the big
Right.
computers and really started getting used for purpose-built stuff.
Right.
Or like in the Cold War was when we started getting to like the big full room
Yeah.
kind of stuff where, oh yeah, here's your server farm and it's just a warehouse
Yeah.
with walls of computers. Not like today where it's just this entire warehouse is the same as like one computer.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, this calculator is the entire wall.
Jeez. Well, I mean, that's it. It's just they needed, so much computing power for stuff, and that was the only way they could build it, right?
Well, like the amount of computing power used in the Apollo missions to put men on the moon, an iPod
Yeah.
has the same amount of power.
Right.
Like, not even a modern one, like the
Yeah.
first gen iPod
Right.
has the same amount of power as the computers that put man on the moon.
Jeez.
Phones now, like, I have a flagship phone, and it's got better specs than my laptop that cost $2,000 10 years ago
Yeah.
did. Like, modern smartwatches have more power than some budget smartphones will have.
Yeah.
In a watch. My watch has more power than the Apollo missions did.
Jeez. I don't know, but just that kind of comparison of, in computing power, that's like, it makes me think, if it only took that much computing power to, to get man to the moon, feels awe-inspiring, but like sort of like batshit crazy at the same time. It'd be like, if you got a 2x4 and strapped a trolling motor to it and tried to cross the Atlantic. Like,
I mean, it was like trying to cross the Atlantic back in the early days of explorers where all they had was the stars and nothing else.
yeah.
Like trying to use like a sextant and stuff to figure out where they are and do all the math by hand. But in this case, it's basically just they programmed just that math in so the computer could sort of do the calculations faster for them. It's not like today where the new Dragon capsule is able to completely dock itself on the ISS. Things were very much a manual process back then where the computer would assist in telling you, like doing a lot of the complex math for you, like for orbits and stuff, but you still had to actually do a lot of the maneuvers yourself and figure out exactly how to apply everything. Like it was very much, it's telling you more or less what you need to do, but it can't do it on its own, and you still need to make sure that it's actually correct.
Yeah. Now, the Dragon capsule, what's that exactly?
So the Dragon capsule is the new crew payload from SpaceX. It is, I guess, the first modern space capsule in actual use with people in it. It's instead of the old style where everything's all just a panel of buttons and switches and everything. It actually has touchscreens in it, and it's very much similar to the modern media and movie style space capsules where there's touchscreens for everything all around. It's showing you all those really fancy displays with your orbit and stuff like you'd see in the mission controls, but now that stuff's all actually in the capsule.
Yeah.
And there's just a few buttons for the super essential stuff at the bottom, but most of the control is done through the actual touchscreens.
Okay.
So they've taken all the existing stuff and they've modernized it, made it much easier. Now instead of, having to have a massive control panel to do 100 different things, you can have one screen and 10 different tabs for different kinds of things.
Okay.
And alerts can be done differently, very easy. Instead of having this massive wall of alert buttons, it's just, here's where alerts will show up, if there are any.
Yeah.
So it's a much more modern take on, piloting. It is definitely partially based out of what we've seen in movies, which is where, a lot of the visual representation, something to follow, but it is also just easier and it's modern. It's working better.
Okay.
Going great for the astronauts and makes for good TV and good publicity.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than the old Russian Soyuzes that they've been using for the past, I don't know, few years at least.
A few decades.
2 decades? Okay. I mean, I'm not that up to date on.
The Soyuz capsules are very old technology where they're proven.
Yeah.
They're the single-handed most safe way of getting to and from Earth.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say that Dragon capsules aren't safe, it's just they've only been crewed once.
Yeah.
And the Soyuz has hundreds of safe launches.
Right, yeah. So
there's a bit of a discrepancy in,
Yeah.
that.
Just assuming there's no huge disasters with Dragon.
Yes. That the Soyuz, all the kinks have been worked out.
Right.
They know what they're doing. Everyone involved knows exactly what they're doing. It's a very much proven technology.
Right.
Now, SpaceX, they have done a lot of unmanned flights.
Right.
They've done, I don't know how many launches, but they've done a considerable number. But it is very new for manned flight for them. They've only had the one.
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And they just got back last week.
Right.
Yeah.
Now SpaceX, that's Elon Musk's company, right?
Yes.
Me and Rory got
For better or worse, it is Elon Musk's company.
Me and Rory got into a little bit on the last podcast. We did mention that you did not like them much.
No, I do not like him.
No.
At all.
Okay. See, I mean, I don't know. I just see the headlines and all that. I haven't looked too much into Musk personally. So, why don't you enlighten us on what you don't like about Elon Musk?
Well, he's a narcissistic sociopath.
Okay.
He doesn't care about anyone.
Right. There was that whole bit with the whole pandemic, he was gonna keep operating his thing on California and...
He illegally reopened his companies.
Okay.
So some of the factories anyway, ignoring the shutdown orders, got in trouble for it.
Right.
And yeah, that's the big thing with pandemic. He's also just been completely ignoring, workers' safety in general, but now specifically
with the pandemic.
With the pandemic, it's just getting worse. No social distancing in the factories, on the production lines, no nothing.
Yeah.
Just business as usual.
Yeah.
He's not a nice person.
No.
Or when he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, he smoked weed. Meanwhile, his own employees would be getting fired for smoking weed, things like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There was the guy, when there were the kids trapped in the cave, who called his submarine stupid. So Musk decided to call him a pedophile. And then double down.
Yeah.
and triple down, and basically just kept insisting that.
Well, we all know when we make a mistake, never admit defeat. Double and triple down.
Yeah, that's definitely how it should work when you're falsely accusing someone of being a pedophile. There was numerous tweets about Tesla where it's just, oh, their stock's crashing. Oh, it's going up because he said something like, getting in trouble with the SEC.
Right.
Or his insistence that Tesla Autopilot is ready completely when there are many cases proving that it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Where it'll still do things like just run off the road into barriers or, not see things that it should see, like traffic cones.
Yeah.
Or it'll just run over a bunch of traffic cones and then because it's run them over, keep going. There's also the fact that Tesla just can't make a car with numerous quality of control issues in the cars persisting even to this day after several years of producing, like body panels not fitting together, or they've had in previous models like just water was leaking inside the car. But you wouldn't find out until later when something else went wrong and then the body panel comes off and oh look, everything inside the car is rusty.
Ooh, God.
Yeah. So you got your car, it's like 2 years old. One of the body panels doesn't fit right, so it needed to get replaced with something that would fit better, and they take it off and oh look, the frame's full of water and rusty.
Oh, that's terrible, especially on an electric car.
Yeah, you don't want water penetrating an electric car.
I mean, I hope that falls under the warranty.
Well, that's the thing. Tesla loves nothing more than denying warranty claims for issues that are clearly manufacturer defects.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or there was someone who had the wheel just fall off of his car with less than 1,000 miles on it, and Tesla denied the warranty claim. Like, if you looked at it, clearly some stuff just broke apart, so, like, the wheel just fell off the car.
Right. A manufacturer's issue, not normal wear and tear.
There's no wear and tear at 1,000 kilometers.
No.
Like, it's just the wheel fell off. And yet, it took him posting on Twitter saying, what the hell, why'd the wheel fall off my car?
Right.
And a lot of media attention before finally they were like, okay, we'll cover it.
Well, yeah, public outrage. That's the only way to get things done nowadays.
That's the only way to get things done with Tesla.
So what you're saying is you don't like Elon Musk.
Bad person, and Teslas are bad.
Bad man.
Yeah.
Oh. What about what he named his kid? How do you even...
he's just nuts.
Yeah.
Also, like, his wealth comes from, Apartheid Emerald Mine.
Oh.
Owned by his parents.
Apartheid. Yeah, there you go.
I've never once heard the word pronounced, so...
No? Okay.
No, well, that's the first time.
There you go. Yeah, no. White South Africans, it's... not a great history.
No, and that's where all of his wealth comes from.
Yeah.
Well, okay, not all of it, but that's where his wealth got started.
You're right.
Yeah. His first billion was made off of selling PayPal to eBay.
Ah, okay.
Maybe it was the other way around.
Let's quote Jared Kelly directly on everything you've heard him just say.
Yeah, take it with a grain of salt, to be sure, but there's no end of proof that he's not the greatest person and Tesla isn't the greatest company.
No. So, are there any alternatives to Elon Musk?
Well, just about any electric car at this point is good enough. Like, if you want good range from a trusted brand, you get a Volkswagen e-Golf. If you want something just cheap for bumming around the city, you get like Chevy Volt or just the Civic electric, or get a plug-in hybrid, of which there's the Chevy Bolt and I don't know, a bunch more others.
Huh?
I don't keep track of hybrids, so
no.
I couldn't really mention any other than the Bolt. Or maybe it's the Volt. I know one of them is the electric and the other one is the hybrid.
Oh, okay.
And there's the Spark, which is the full gas one.
Oh, okay.
I know, it is actually a really good naming scheme when you have 3 cars in the exact same class.
Right.
And it's just internal combustion engine, hybrid, full electric, like bolt, spark, bolt, volt, or whatever.
Yeah.
Love it.
Huh. It's neat.
But Volkswagen is... Sorry, so all existing like electric cars are designed for people who want an electric car. No one's really targeting people who want a normal car, but getting them to buy an electric car instead. But Volkswagen now is rolling out their new ID3 platform, and their goal with that is to make an electric car for the person who just wants a car. So they're not trying to capture... They are trying to capture the electric car market, but they're also trying to capture the market of people who just want a nice car. And they want to get a nice car from a brand they trust, like Volkswagen. Mm. Which is why they're rolling out the new platform. Unfortunately, it won't be in North America for an unknown amount of time. Yeah. So as always, Europe gets all the cool cars, and we're left out over here in North America. But it'll be very interesting to see what happens when they release them, because the interest in them is very high right now, and from what we've seen, they look to be very good electric cars.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see an actual electric car, and not a souped-up golf cart.
I mean, like, that's all an electric car is. It's just electric motors and batteries.
Right.
Unless you're calling a Tesla a souped-up golf cart.
No, I'm calling that the Lamborghini of golf carts.
Oh, Tesla's a Lamborghini golf cart.
But it's a very, specialty brand and all that, and it's very sleek and slick, and it's a golf cart.
You can actually get electric supercars now, too.
Yeah.
In fact, most supercars at this point are actually hybrids.
Okay.
For two reasons. Number one, emissions.
Yeah.
Most countries now require there to be fleet-wide emission standards among the automotive group. So, like, for Volkswagen Auto Group, for example, that's Volkswagen, Audi, Lamborghini, Porsche, all those companies. So, they have the supercars, and then they got the mild hybrids in them because they got to keep the emissions down.
Yeah.
And also because when you want torque, like electric motor, it's just instant torque, just complete speed throughout the entire acceleration. There's no shifting gears, no nothing. It's just the amount of power you're sending to the wheels is the amount of power you're making.
Oh, nice.
And the only thing stopping you from faster acceleration is your drivetrain. Like, if you put a big enough electric motor, just stick better drivetrain on it, and you're going to accelerate faster.
Okay.
Just how fast can you spin up the wheels without, destroying the car?
Yeah.
Like, even a Tesla, like, performance, like the ludicrous speed ones are running, like, 10 seconds for the quarter mile, 0 to 60 in the 3-second range. Well, that's what a supercar does. Like, $250,000 supercars have the same performance as a Tesla. Even $500,000 supercars aren't going to necessarily beat a Tesla. Even the electric ones, like, at a certain point, like, it's just an electric motor is just going to be the best. And it's just make the cars better. There's a few full electric supercars in production right now from smaller companies, but even then it's like, they're still comparable to a Tesla or any other, at least even slightly performance electric car, because it's electric motors are just the way to go. You cannot beat a car with 4 electric motors, like one for each wheel. You're not going to beat under any circumstances with a gas car.
Yeah.
Even, like, top-level Bugattis now are nothing compared to an electric car.
No?
No.
Car go fast.
Car go very fast. Very fast.
Yeah.
However, the difference between the electric car and the gas car is the gas car will get faster with every run, assuming it has a proper cooling system, because as it burns up gas, it will be lighter, so it can go a little faster. Whereas an electric car, you will lose speed every single time you do like a quarter mile, because the batteries, as they lose their charge, they can't sustain the same output. because when you're at the maximum capacity of the motors, it's actually the higher the voltage going in is what's driving them at that point. It's not, the car's not really converting it down. So as the voltage of the battery starts to drop, you're starting to lose the power, the same power. So you become slower every single time as you lose the charge. There's a few people who have made purpose-built, just like electric drag racers, just from scavenged Teslas. And it is insane what they do with all of the protections that Tesla has put in off. It's just motor, battery, go.
Oh, okay.
Fast.
But Tesla's very, like, protective of, like, you working on their shit, right? Like, that
They are, but, like, there's nothing stopping you from taking their motors, and it's like, when you get down to it, a motor works by just having a voltage running through it.
Yeah.
So you can take the motor and you figure out what power it needs to run, and you give it that power.
Okay. And it doesn't have to go through the computer or anything.
So you have your own computer controlling it, or you modify the Tesla ones.
Okay.
Like, they can do a lot to stop you from hacking into it, but if someone wants to, they're going to get in. Like,
okay.
When it comes to hacking into hardware, if someone has the hardware in their possession, it's done for. Like, Apple can tout their security all they want, but there's constantly new vulnerabilities coming out for Apple where it's just, oh yeah, now some new company's got this thing to just suck all the data out of an iPhone in 30 seconds, and law enforcement, it's yours for a ton of money.
Yeah. Jeez, that's the kind of, Mad Max sort of vehicle I'd like to see.
I know,
Frankenstein Tesla.
Yes, I know someone one of his friends did that. Like, he built his own chassis and everything for his, like, Franken Tesla drag racer, but that's the kind of thing that we'll see coming out more and more as electric car parts become cheaper and cheaper and more available, like, off the shelf, where people just start building awesome shit with that just out of their back garages, just like people do now with, gas engine.
Yeah.
Or diesel engine cars.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was at a drag strip last month, and there was a Tesla there, not even a performant, like, it was just a dual motor, not one of the crazy, ludicrous speed ones, just a Model 3. And the only vehicle there that was touching it was there's a guy with a 735 horsepower pickup truck. And it was great, like, fully built everything, and even that was only, like, that was still slower than the Tesla.
Jesus.
And it's 735 horsepower.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he could not beat the Tesla.
I don't know, he might be an asshole, but he still builds a pretty fast car.
Well, the people he pays does, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, it's him, like I've seen him talk in interviews and stuff. Like, I don't think he thinks, like, normal.
No.
No.
Definitely not.
No. I think there's, like, yeah, he's on, like, a different brainwave, like, something. Like, he's not...
He does not think the same as the rest of us.
No. And, that's good and bad, I guess you can say.
Certainly bad when he's given a platform like Twitter and just able to say whatever he wants, anytime he wants, for better or worse.
Yeah.
Largely for worse.
Yeah. But, I mean, then again, he thinks up these crazy things like Tesla and SpaceX, and I don't know what the other project he's working on, the Hyperloop.
He has the Boring Company.
Right, yeah, the flamethrower.
Yeah, he has his flamethrower, and he also made baseball caps.
Baseball caps?
Yeah. Just a bunch of hats.
That's it, just regular old baseball caps. No,
his flamethrowers were barely even flamethrowers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were, like, not... They're mini ones. They're basically just for, like, you're for burning away weeds and stuff. You're not...
Yeah, well...
doing much more than that.
Sorry, we want to give a full... we want to give a full flamethrower to the average civilian.
Why not? That's, be interesting.
I don't know where that falls under the American Second Amendment, but...
On a semi-related note, if you're trying to burn down your house and get the insurance money, don't just, like, start a fire and pretend like, oh, I don't know what happened. What you gotta do is make a leaf pile beside your house. And you're just burning leaves and, oh shit, I've accidentally burned down my house.
Okay.
Being an idiot isn't gonna make your claim denied. Like, you messed up? Yeah, that could still, depending on your policy, be covered for your house being burned down.
Okay, and why are you talking about this? Did you try to burn down your house?
No.
Fair.
But you can use his flamethrowers to do that.
Yeah.
You can use them to burn up leaves and stuff, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. If I was buying a flamethrower, personally, I'd be buying it, to clear the driveway during the winter. That's me, personally.
You do know how much snow we get, right?
And that's particularly why I'd like a flamethrower.
We're beyond the point of them being useful.
I know. It's wishful thinking.
Like, if you have a centimeter, sure. But, like, when you have 6 inches, like a foot, no. Flamethrower, that dinky flamethrower is not doing anything anymore. No. Not even a full-size flamethrower would be enough at that point.
Well, I mean, and a full-size flamethrower wouldn't be tactically appropriate, depending on what sort of flamethrower you're using, too. Like, if it's propane or if it's, like, some of them use kind of like a napalm.
It's a burning gel.
Yeah.
Not napalm.
Well, no, not napalm particularly, but, like, cause that's what the masses can associate with.
It's a similar substance, yes.
Right, yeah.
You can actually make napalm at home.
I do too. And
it's
I just want to take a thing right now. We're not going to tell you how to make napalm.
But you can search it up very easily.
Kids, please.
Don't listen to this podcast.
No. Don't listen to Uncle Jared. Please do not make napalm. Do not search this online.
Don't try this at home.
Do not try this at home, please.
But if you do, let us know what happens.
No. I want no association if you do this. Delete the podcast off your phone. Scrub your entire phone. Drop it in like a vat of bleach. I don't want any association with you if you start making napalm.
If the police ask, tell them Elon Musk made you do it.
Yes, good, even better. Take the blame off of ourselves and put it on someone else. Nice, useful patsy.
Remember, double and triple down when they tell you you're wrong.
Exactly.
If Elon Musk can make a flamethrower and sell it to people, you can make napalm. Personal use napalm.
Personal use napalm. I don't think there's a lot of legal, legit, sane personal uses for napalm.
Starting a fire.
Okay, but there's much...
It would make it very easy to start fires.
Okay, but there's much more practical ways of starting fires than you see.
There are, but, like, there's much more practical ways to starting a fire than just pouring gasoline on it, but you know what? It's still kind of fun to do sometimes.
This is me just finding out that Jared's a firebug.
You've never started... like a campfire by just taking a cup full of gasoline and just pouring it onto the fire.
I think you know I have, but the point is that I don't do that. I don't do that lightly.
Okay, the last time did that, we were trying to burn the remains of a pop-up trailer from the 70s and a bunch of old bunk beds and Christmas trees. That was a big fire.
Yeah.
Very big.
Yes. I'm just saying, kids, please do not. Don't do this.
Don't make napalm.
Don't make napalm.
Just make normal fires instead.
Yeah. I'm just mixing myself in it here.
I can tell.
Okay. Well, just in case other people can't tell.
All they'll hear is the pouring.
Yeah, no, but that's why I'm saying, okay, that's what that is.
Nothing like drinking tequila right from a Gatorade bottle.
It's an easy, clean, eco-friendly way to mix drinks.
I mean, I think more eco-friendly was just using a glass.
Yeah, but that involves me getting up and getting a glass.
That requires effort.
Yeah. I mean, you've never mixed a drink in a Gatorade bottle?
No. I just use a glass.
I'm sorry, this is me.
Oh, I know it's you.
Jeez. It's not as bad as the first episode where me and my uncle were drinking, and we were drinking cans of beer, and in the corner, my uncle has this laundry basket where you just chuck the empties.
Oh boy!
Into. So every time one of us finished the beer, all you could hear is a clink. just a clink, clink, clink.
But like, how were you opening? Maybe opening away from the mic, or just get it right up?
We were just once we were a few in. I don't think we were conscious of where or how we were opening.
Just gotta do the ultimate method, which is just open it with your teeth.
Again, that doesn't seem very practical.
It is, because if the beer starts exploding, your mouth is already there, so you can just make sure it doesn't get anywhere.
Also, like, not the best for the teeth.
You just don't apply too much force, and it's just a pop can. It's not that much.
No. Again, just I don't know. Use your finger. That seems to work in most situations.
But if it doesn't, you can use your teeth.
Okay. That.
For those stubborn pop cans.
Yeah. More tips from Jared.
Today we've learned about napalm and opening cans with your teeth.
Oh, let's talk about cereal eating habits now.
Okay.
Okay. Because I want to let you know what this guy does, okay? First we'll go with the one you don't do anymore, which is the worst one.
In your opinion.
In everyone's opinion.
Cereal with orange juice.
He ate cereal with orange juice. Like, you know how, like...
Which I haven't done since I was, 12 or 13.
I don't care. The fact that you admit that you did this.
My dad still does it.
Your dad still does it?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
What the fuck? Like okay, what sort of cereal, first of all? Like, what sort of cereal does he eat? Any cereal. Like
Any.
Cocoa Pops.
He doesn't buy sugary cereals.
Okay. What sort of cereal does your dad eat?
Raisin Bran, Vector, I'll get sometimes some of just the weird ones from the store. Like with granola and shit in them. All with orange juice.
With orange juice. That doesn't seem right.
It's not as weird as it seems.
It seems extremely weird. I don't know what kind of psychopath eats cereal with orange juice. Like,
deal with it.
Unnatural.
You're unnatural.
Please, okay, this is what I want to know. Is that if you think yay or nay on eating cereal with orange juice? Like, is this something a normal person does that I'm just oblivious to, or is it an abomination like I think it is? I don't know. I can't fathom. It's weird. It's just...
I wouldn't do it now, but...
No. You've become more societally acceptable.
I feel like you're still about to criticize how I eat cereal now.
Yeah. Okay, so now the next thing he does, which is at least I find there is logic behind it.
It's practical.
It's rational, it's practical. But now what he does is he just eats dry cereal out of a glass.
You pour it in the drinking glass. It's just one dish instead of like a bowl and a spoon.
Yeah.
And you can just, pour it in your mouth as you want to eat.
Now,
so literally a cup of cereal in the morning.
It's not an abomination like the orange juice in cereal, but it's still unusual.
It's also very practical when you're doing something, like if you're on your phone or sitting at your computer, you can still use the mouse, and just takes you one hand, and you don't need to take your attention away like you would with a spoon.
Right.
Where you have to carefully use a spoon.
Now, see, that kind of reminds me of the Seinfeld episode when they're eating chocolate bars with forks and knives. Like,
the only Seinfeld I've seen is the soup Nazi.
Yeah.
No soup for you!
No soup for you. Well,
who eats chocolate with a fork and a knife?
What?
Did you say
there's an episode where I forget exactly how it all goes on, but I think George, he's in a meeting with the Yankees, and someone starts eating a chocolate bar with a fork and a knife. And it's kind of like the same rationale with you with the cereal in the glass. Is they're trying to keep their hands clean.
But chocolate comes in a wrapper, and you can just eat it out of the wrapper.
So it just progresses in the episode where by the end of the episode, everyone's just eating chocolate bars with a fork and a knife.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. How is that any different from you eating cereal with a glass?
It's more practical, but eating chocolate with a fork and knife, It comes already wrapped in something you can use to hold it with, so there won't be any mess.
Okay. But we already have a perfectly normal way of eating cereal, too, with a bowl.
This is just eating it like with a different thing. It's not like all of a sudden we're taking something that doesn't use anything to eat other than your hands, and all of a sudden now we're adding in a fork and a knife.
Yeah.
When, the same result could be achieved with just using the wrapper.
Yeah.
Without adding anything new.
I think also part of the episode, too, was that it looks more dignified that you're eating it with a fork and a knife. Which is actually kind of the opposite of you using...
Well, I'm not trying to look dignified. I'm just trying to eat while I sit at my computer.
Scarf down as much cereal as possible without dirtying your hands.
Well, no, I'm just trying to be able to eat while sitting down.
Yeah.
And, using my computer.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Well, it's easier to eat cereal sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Because normally it's very difficult, especially if you're not eating it dry. You have to hold the bowl in your lap and eat over the bowl. So you're not spilling milk or something.
See, I usually don't have that many problems. I sit in the chair and I eat cereal. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to multitask, too. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're trying to multitask.
Yeah.
Like, you're sitting, the only thing you're doing is sitting, trying to eat cereal, then yeah. But if you're multitasking, it's just easier.
Okay.
Especially since I'm just eating it dry anyway.
Right. I don't know. It seems odd to me, but it's definitely better than orange juice and cereal.
Yes.
I don't know. I couldn't stomach it. It's weird.
I'm not going to disagree.
Okay. As long as we agree.
It's unusual, for sure.
Okay. I just want to make sure, you see what I see. See, when you do the thumbs up, they can't hear the thumbs up.
How about if I thumbs up aggressively into the mic?
I don't know, try it.
Which I'm not going to do because that might hurt people's ears.
Okay.
And potentially the mic.
Yes, well.
When people tap on the mics as a mic check, don't do that. It's bad for the mic and the sound system and everyone around you's ears.
An actual practical tip from Jared.
If you do that, you're a bad person and you should reconsider your decisions. Just speak into the mic. Just say literally anything.
Yeah.
You don't need to hit it and say, is this on? Just hold it up to your mouth and say, is this on?
Yeah. Where would you put, mic tappers on the scale of 1 to Elon Musk? In terms of horribleness.
Probably worse.
Worse.
It's pretty bad.
Worse than Elon Musk.
Don't do it. It's really easy. It's really hard for Elon Musk to not be Elon Musk. But it's really easy for you to not tap on a microphone. It takes a lot less work to stop tapping on a mic than to not be Elon Musk.
Oh. Hey, do you know the whole history with cereal?
Yeah, it was cornflakes, and they were made to make you stop masturbating.
Partially. So yeah, there was these two guys named Kellogg, and they were working at a sanitarium, kind of like a health spa hospital thing, out of Battle Creek, Michigan, and they came up with they accidentally created this, what we now know as cornflakes, to try and keep you regular, to stop masturbating and thinking about the opposite sex and all that stuff. Keep you regular. They were Seventh-day Adventists, kind of doomsday cult, sort of thing. So very very strict and rigid on the Bible says to do and that. So yeah, that's where cereal comes from, kids.
And you will never forget this for the rest of your life. And every time you look at a box of anything from Kellogg's, all you'll think about is, this was made to stop me from masturbating.
There you go. Yeah, it's weird how many inventions are out there that have strange origins. I mean, one thing that I'll rail on forever is just how much modern technology comes out of Nazi Germany. We would have never gotten to the moon. There's Volkswagen cars, lots of innovations there, jet engines, a lot of rocket technology, and all comes from Nazi Germany. The head of NASA up until I want to say early to mid 70s, Werner von Braun. He was the head designer of the V1 and V2 rockets, And I think fairly recently the Simon Wiesenthal Center was quoted in saying that if he were still alive today, they'd be hunting him for war crimes.
Well, I mean, America's post-World War II, and even during World War II, scientific booms were all Nazi scientists.
Well, okay, during the World War II one was because of the brain drain. It was because there's a lot of Jewish and like-minded scientists who went, hey, we don't like how things are going over here, so they fled to other countries. One of which was the United States. Post World War II, what happened was they had this little thing called Operation Paperclip, which is we've got to scoop up all these German scientists before the Soviets do, or they're going to get all their expertise and stuff, and we don't want them falling into Soviet hands, right? So, and that's where there's, even though the Allies were supposed to have this process of denazification, clearing, vetting, and determining who needs to be stand on trial or not. When it comes to one of these scientists, that was entirely thrown out the window because, we need them and we can't risk them falling into enemy hands because the Cold War.
Plus, like, the CIA.
Well, it was the Operation Paperclip was a CIA operation. I mean, sorry. It was initially started by the OSS, but continued to be monitored by the CIA after the OSS was disbanded. Office of Strategic Services. It was the military World War II precursor to the CIA. And that major difference between them is the OSS was a military organization, the CIA is a civilian organization. But the beginnings of the CIA, everyone was an OSS veteran.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, it's a real interesting history. I mean, just to think, prior to the Second World War, like the U.S. had next to no intelligence capabilities. They had to learn everything from the British. I mean, all the early OSS operatives had to be trained in Camp X in Southern Ontario by the British, and then.
I just think we should bring back the CIA that tried to do things like put microphones inside cats and use them to spy on people.
I mean, technically, it's the same CIA.
Yes, but you don't see the CIA doing stuff like that now.
Well, not openly. None of that's declassified. You don't know what they're doing, really, honestly. I mean that does get a little tinfoil hatty, but still.
But, like, if they were trying to do shit like put microphones in cats to spy on the Russians, pretty sure that kind of stuff would, come out.
You would think, but there's a lot of stuff that doesn't come out until, decades later. It's like, oh shit, they were doing this, and, that's... So who knows, they could be doing something right now. We won't find out about it for another decade or two.
Birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real.
They're all just spying for the CIA.
No, birds are real. No, but you never know.
Are you sure about that?
They could have chips in birds. They could have chips in raccoons that are spying on you. It might not be cats anymore.
Cats aren't real either. Wow.
I'm sorry. I just I'm only vacationing in the tinfoil hat zone. Jared lives there apparently.
No, I'm just joking. I just love the theories that birds aren't real and like pigeons are just spying.
Oh, it just
spy robots.
It gets crazy.
But have you ever seen a baby pigeon? The answer is no, you haven't.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure if we go on the internet, we can look up. I don't know. Maybe I personally have not seen a baby pigeon, but
do you know anyone who's seen a baby pigeon?
Not off the top of my head.
See, and that's why this conspiracy theory is plausible to the kind of people who fall for conspiracy theories.
I know some people who know stuff about birds. Maybe they have. I just don't know. I haven't asked them. Have you seen a baby pigeon? It doesn't come up in normal parlance. My second point is I'm sure we could just go to Google and say baby pigeons and they'll come up with something that.
But it's on the internet, so it may not be true.
Well,
see, you're not thinking like the kind of person who believes these things.
I'm sorry.
If it's on the internet, it may not be true.
I try to use this thing called rational thought.
Jesus Christ, they're hideous.
Really?
Yeah, like.
I'm looking at. It's terrible. It looks like a plucked chicken a miniature plucked chicken with robin's eggs for eyes. I don't know.
No, those aren't robins. Those are just bulbous
blue eyes.
Holes to hell, or something. These are hideous. Look at this thing.
Oh god, it's not as bad as the first one.
No, but like
it's again just has lost the bulbous eyes and has just grown some yellowish.
Baby pigeons are horrendous. Yeah, no.
But see, they exist.
I've actually seen baby seagulls before. Because the building I used to work at, if you're up on the top floor, you could see onto the roof of the rest of the building, and all the seagulls would nest up there.
Huh.
Because the babies don't fly until they look like a normal seagull.
Right, yeah.
So you'll never see them when they're on top of a building.
No.
But they're not hideous. They're actually kind of cute, unlike those horrendous baby pigeons.
But seagull is essentially just a flying rat. Like
that's literally what a pigeon is.
They used to hunt pigeons and eat them, eh?
I mean, there's still people who do that now.
I don't know. I don't think many people do that anymore.
No, but like, you could.
Yeah.
Especially modern day pigeons are probably a lot more fat than they were years ago.
But they probably have a lot more shit in them too, I would imagine. I mean,
I don't know.
Eating a diet of cigarette butts and used Band-Aids, I don't think that's good for the nutrients there.
Delicious.
My pigeon has extra nicotine.
Get your food and your fix.
Oh god, that's horrible. See, at least the seagull, it eats like food. I mean, not that it doesn't eat the other shit too, but it eats like our food.
Well, no fish. Like, most of them live along the water because they'll eat like fish and stuff, but
right.
Pigeons, no, they just eat garbage. Or whatever they can.
Yeah. You know what's supposed to be good eating is squirrels.
I've heard that, but like, there's not much meat on a squirrel.
No, that's it.
You'd have to catch a lot of squirrels to make a burger.
Right. And that's it. It'd be like a very lean meat too, so there's not enough fat on it to like make into a burger per se.
No, you probably wouldn't. You'd probably just, I don't know, squirrel bacon.
No, again, not enough fat, really.
But actually, you're just taking off the entire side of the squirrel and cooking that.
It'd be like squirrel chunks. Make like a little kebab.
Like, how do you skin it? They're so fluffy.
Well, I mean, you'd skin it like you do anything else.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be weird.
Yeah.
It's like you just take, because they look kind of big, but as soon as they're, no fur, they're not...
No, you wouldn't get, like you said, you'd have to get a lot. I read something once, there's this guy on a campus in the United States, of course. You couldn't, afford to live where he was living or, buy groceries or anything. So what he did is he made like a little crossbow and started hunting squirrels on campus, and that's how he
Interesting. I'm sure the campus security loved that.
I mean, that just goes to show you how great it is in the United States, especially paying for school and all that.
Here, your education costs $250,000.
Guess I'm hunting squirrel.
Yum.
Squirrel chunks.
No.
No?
No.
Nah, come on.
I'm good.
Why not? You wouldn't? Seriously?
If I was in a survival situation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise? Nah.
No?
No.
I'd do it at least to try it,
I just feel like it wouldn't be worth it.
No?
The effort that you'd have to put in.
Well, no. Okay, yeah.
If it was like someone was like, hey, I've got a whole bunch of squirrel, I'd be like, okay, sure, I guess I'll try it.
Yeah.
Like,
if someone came up to me and say, hey, I'm making squirrel fajitas.
Some guy just coming up to you on the street like, hey, want some squirrel fajitas?
Some random guy. Trench coat. Says, I got some squirrel fajitas here. No, so, if someone is making some squirrel, I'd be like, okay, I'll try it. Just to try it. But, I don't know. And again, survival situation. Do you know with Judaism, they the whole thing, like, they can't eat pork, right?
Yeah, but if it means your survival, then it's all suspended.
Right, yeah.
It's like,
that was my...
if you're going to die otherwise, then it's like,
Right.
yeah, no, stay alive.
Right, yeah. And I mean, like, that's just to stay alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do what you need to stay alive. Don't do more. Like, if you needed to survive, do it. It's just religion. Like, survive.
Right. Yeah. And one thing, there's this... I think I mentioned it maybe in the Patreon. I think maybe the first Patreon thing. How I like alternative history books. In particular, the ones I read as a kid by Harry Turtledove. There's this one-off book he writes called "In the Presence of Mine Enemies," and it's about if the Germans had won the Second World War, but it follows this Jewish family that lives in Berlin. And there's just one section where the wife is reminiscing on this particular point. You know, eating pork to survive because she was cooking. Here exactly, she was cooking like sausages or bacon or something for dinner, and the thing is that they bought. They could have bought and ate anything else, but the thing is they were buying and eating pork to keep up appearances to the general thing. Otherwise, and it's in that same vein. Well, they're doing it to survive. It's not that they're going to starve to death, but they're buying and eating pork to make it look like they're Germans, to in the eyes of their friends and neighbors and all that.
Just do what you got to do.
Yeah. That's the thing, I guess, yeah. It's interesting. Well, I guess that's about it for this week, I think. We're coming up about the time. Is there anything more you want to say?
No, I think I've just about said everything I have.
Stay in school. Don't look up how to make napalm. Elon Musk is terrible.
Delete the lawyer, hit the gym, and break up with Facebook.
Okay. There you have it. We'll see you next time on the Island Podcast.